Hi, I'm Andrew Work with NextChange, and we are down at the Emtech Hong Kong event where they have brought some of the world's greatest thought leaders to look at essentially the future. I've got one of those thought leaders with us. This is Marquis Boire, and he is the Director of Security at First Lab and a researcher with the University of Toronto. He spoke today on cybersecurity, a little bit of the past of cybersecurity, but also the future. Morgan, I wanted to ask you about consumers and how they're behaving with everything that's happened. I mean, with Snowden and WannaCry, I mean, it just seems like every couple of months we have a major incident that's in the news that gets on people's awareness. Have we hit a turning point where consumers are going to take responsibility for their own cybersecurity and seeking out encryption that will help them to protect themselves? Are we getting to that point yet? Where are we?
Well, I'd say that it happens more than every couple of months now, right? Like it seems that keeping up with cybersecurity news is a full-time job. It's difficult even for me. I think that things like WannaCry have definitely, if thinking hadn't already been changed on cybersecurity, it's definitely instrumental. I mean, we had live medical devices in hospitals being hit by this worm, and part of the problem here is, there are so many internet connected devices now which enhance our lives, but do they get patched? How does that work? This problem is only going to proliferate, right? So I think that the sad thing is when it comes to purchasing consumer technology, if you're buying it for yourself, then perhaps when you purchase a smartphone, you think, which smartphone, gives me the best security? And now that's probably not going to be your sole consideration unless you're a very specific type of individual. You're going to want to think about selfies and features and all that type of thing. But when you're purchasing a camera, does it have Wi-Fi? When you're purchasing a fridge, when you're purchasing a toy for your child, the internet connected Barbie, right? Whether or not this is secure is actually probably not going to be in your thinking. And so, like the issue is, as we move away from traditional computing devices like a laptop, I think the tablet or the smartphone falls within the realm of something that people might have security concerns about. But of course, there's all of these other computer-driven devices that are connected to the internet, which I think just fall outside of our standard realm of concern when we're thinking about security.
Yeah, that's a big one. I know one of the big ones that's been in the news, of course, is automotives. I mean, if somebody hacks your Barbie, not such a big deal. Somebody hacks your car while you're driving, that's going to be a big issue for people. Do you think companies are going to take that on only under regulatory pressure, or they'll take it on saying, wow, if it's my car that gets hacked, I'm going to have a major public relations and translating into a sales disaster on my hands that they're going to want to avoid? What do you think is going to be the real driver? Do you think it's going to be more regulatory, or do you think manufacturers are going to want to get ahead of having a real problem?
That's a great question, because I don't think that the automotive industry has traditionally had to deal with cybersecurity researchers. But this has become a real hot button issue in cyber over the last few years, because we've seen hacks on Chrysler and Tesla and that type of thing. And as people obviously have cars become more computer driven, there's more features. We want more capacity, more capability, which means that cars need to get updated, which means that they connect to the internet, which means, and so I think I'd like to think I'm going to say that it'll probably vary manufacturer to manufacturer. I mean, I know that certain companies have heavily invested in cybersecurity teams. They have advanced security research divisions, but it depends, because I mean, I think it doesn't do the reputation of car manufacturers any good if they say, buy our super advanced new sedan. You will ride in the most technologically advanced luxury that humans can produce. And then there's bad headlines about the fact that their car has massive security risks which may endanger the lives of your family. No one wants those type of headlines, right? But whether or not that type of reputational pressure is enough to persuade automotive companies to take security seriously remains to be seen.
Okay. Well, Morgan, I know you're originally from New Zealand. You're in Canada now. One of my
San Francisco now.
and you're in San Francisco now, but associated with the University of Toronto.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. One of my Canadian podcasts, they were talking about automotives and said maybe Keanu Reeves will have to come back and do a redo of Speed. Only this time it'll be a hacker instead of a bomb in a bus. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Morgan Marquis Boire, who's a researcher with the University of Toronto from his home base in San Francisco. We're here at the Emtech event. I'm Andrew Work for Next Change. Thank you very much, Morgan.
Thanks for having me.
All right.